3, 2, 1.
In the beautiful windswept region of Brittany in northwestern France, there lies a mystery etched into the very landscape. It is a place that feels ancient, a place where the veil between the past and the present seems incredibly thin. This is Carnac, home to the largest and most extraordinary collection of megalithic stones in the world. Long before the famous Saracens of Stonehenge were raised on the Salisbury Plain, and even before the Great Pyramids of Giza pierced the Egyptian sky, an unknown people undertook a monumental task here. They quarried, moved, and erected thousands of massive granite stones, creating a spectacle that continues to baffle and inspire us thousands of years later. It is a silent testament to a forgotten culture. These are not just a few scattered rocks. The Carnac alignments are a sprawling complex of standing stones, known as menhirs, arranged in long parallel lines that stretch for several kilometers across the countryside. The sheer scale is difficult to comprehend until you are there, standing in their long shadows. The main groups of alignments, Carnac, Camario, and Calescan, form a stone army, marching silently towards the horizon. They feel less like a human construction and more like a feature of the natural world, as if they had grown from the earth itself. This incredible sight asks us profound questions about our distant ancestors, challenging our understanding of what prehistoric societies were capable of achieving. The story of Carnac begins deep in the Neolithic period, a time of profound change for humanity. We often associate this era with the dawn of farming, the creation of pottery, and the establishment of the first settled villages. Yet, Carnac shows us that it was also an age of immense ambition and spiritual depth. The people who built this landscape of stone possessed a vision that spanned generations. They were connected to their environment in a way we can barely imagine today, reading the seasons and the stars and finding meaning in the very earth beneath their feet. The stones they left behind are their enduring legacy, a message across the millennium that we're still trying to decipher. Visiting Carnac is to step onto one of the world's greatest historical quizzes. It lacks the convenient inscriptions of ancient Egypt or the detailed chronicles of Rome. Instead, it offers only silence and scale. The stones stand as mute witnesses to a lost world. Their weathered surfaces tell tales of sun, moon, and rain, keeping the secrets of their creators locked within. Why did they build them? What ceremonies took place in those long avenues of stone? As we begin to explore this incredible place, we are not just looking at old rocks, we are looking into the heart of a deep and persistent human mystery, one that began over 6,000 years ago. To truly understand Carnac, you must first picture the stones themselves. Imagine a vast, open landscape under a wide Breton sky, and across it thousands of granite pillars standing in silent rows. There are more than 3,000 of them in the main alignment alone. These menhirs vary in size, with some being no taller than a person, while others tower over you, reaching heights of over 4 meters. They are not smooth or perfectly shaped. They are raw, rugged, and wonderfully imperfect. Each stone has its own character, its own texture. Its surface covered in a mosaic of lichen and moss in shades of gray, green, and gold. They feel ancient, powerful, and deeply connected to the earth from which they were hewn. The arrangements are what make Carnac so utterly unique and mesmerizing. The stones are not placed randomly. They are organized into long, straight lines, creating avenues that can be more than 100 meters wide and stretch for over a kilometer. In the Carnac alignment, for instance, 11 parallel rows march across the landscape, beginning with the largest stones and gradually diminishing in size. It creates a stunning visual effect, a sense of perspective and order that feels deliberate and deeply meaningful. It is as if you are walking down a grand ceremonial way, designed for a purpose that we can now only guess at. The precision and dedication required are simply staggering. Standing among these lines of stone is an experience that touches something primal within you. You are dwarfed by their number and their sheer persistence through time. Looking down a row of hundreds of menhirs, you feel a sense of rhythm and motion, as if the stones themselves are on a slow, silent pilgrimage. The air is often filled with the cry of gulls from the nearby coast and the gentle rustle of the wind through the heather and gorse. It is a profoundly sensory experience. The rough feel of the granite under your fingertips, the earthy smell of the soil, and the immense quiet presence of the stones all around you. You are not just observing a historical site, you are becoming part of its ancient atmosphere. The complex is more than just the famous lines of stones. It also includes other types of megalithic structures that add to the mystery. There are dolmens, which are ancient passage tombs constructed from massive stone slabs, like the one at Gakado. These were likely the final resting places of important individuals. There are also cromlechs, or stone circles, which often mark the beginning or end of the alignments, suggesting they were focal points for gatherings or rituals. The sheer variety of structures at Carnac tells us that this was not a simple monument, but a vast and complex sacred landscape, used by generations of people for different, but perhaps related, sacred purposes. Walking through the Carnac alignments is like stepping through a portal into another world. The modern world, with its noise and its rush, seems to fall away completely. You find yourself in a place governed by a different kind of time. A deep, slow time measured in millennia, not minutes. There is a profound sense of peace here, but it is a peace filled with questions. You cannot help but feel a deep sense of awe, not just for the scale of the construction, but for the human beings who conceived of it. Who were they? What did they believe? What drove them to dedicate so much of their lives to this extraordinary project? The stones offer no easy answers, and this silence is part of their power. The feeling is one of immense humility. We often think of ourselves in the 21st century as the pinnacle of human achievement. But standing here, you are confronted with the ingenuity and spiritual drive of people who lived over 6,000 years ago. They had no metal tools, no wheels, and no written language, yet they created something that has endured for longer than almost any other structure on Earth. It makes you feel small, a fleeting visitor in a place that has witnessed countless sunrises and sunsets. You are walking in the footsteps of people whose world was fundamentally different from our own, yet whose need to create meaning and mark their place in the cosmos feels deeply, recognizably human. There is also a palpable sense of mystery that hangs in the air. The stones seem to guard their secrets jealously. As you wander from one road to another, your imagination begins to run wild. Were these avenues for processions? Were they a giant calendar designed to track the movements of the sun and moon? Were they a way to honor the ancestors, or perhaps to appease powerful gods of the earth? Every theory you consider seems both plausible and incomplete. The stones invite you to speculate, to dream, to create your own stories. It is an active experience, one that engages your mind and your spirit as you try to connect with the forgotten vision of its builders. This feeling is amplified by the landscape itself. The alignments are not isolated in a museum-like setting. They are woven into the living fabric of Brittany. You see them across fields where cows graze, alongside quiet country roads, and near small, charming villages. This integration of the ancient and the modern makes the stones feel alive and present. They are not just relics of the past, they are part of the ongoing story of this place. This connection to the land, the sky, and the sea imbues the entire experience with a sense of magic, making you feel as though you have stumbled upon a secret that the world has almost forgotten. The construction of Carnac represents one of the greatest engineering feats of the prehistoric world. The first and most challenging task for its builders was quarrying the stone. The menhirs are made of local granite, a notoriously hard and durable rock. Without metal tools, these Neolithic people likely used a clever combination of fire and water. They would light intense fires against a rock face and then douse it with cold water, causing the stone to crack from the thermal shock. Then, using stone mauls and wooden wedges, they would painstakingly split off the huge slabs they needed. This was slow, arduous work that required immense patience, strength, and a deep understanding of the stone itself. Once a menhir was quarried, the next immense challenge was to transport it. Some of these stones weigh several tens of tons, and they were sometimes moved over considerable distances. Archaeologists believe the builders used a system of wooden rollers, levers, and ropes made from plant fibers. Large teams of people would have been needed to pull and guide these massive stones across the land. It would have been a communal effort on a grand scale, requiring incredible coordination and social organization. Imagine hundreds of people working together, their movements synchronized, their efforts focused on the single goal of moving one giant stone just a few more meters. It was a project that would have bound the community together. Erecting the stones was the final and perhaps most dangerous part of the process. The builders would have started by digging a large pit at the desired location. They would then build a ramp of earth and stones leading up to the edge of the pit. The massive menhir would be carefully maneuvered down the ramp until its base slid into the hole. Using long wooden poles as levers and strong ropes for pulling, the team would then slowly and carefully raise the stone into a vertical position. Finally, they would pack smaller stones and earth tightly into the pit around the base to secure it, ensuring it would stand for millennia to come. Each successful erection would have been a moment of great triumph and celebration. This entire process, repeated thousands of times, tells us a great deal about the society that built Carnac. It could not have been the work of a small scattered group of individuals. It required a large, stable population with a surplus of food and resources, allowing people to dedicate their time to this non-essential yet clearly vital task. It implies a society with strong leadership, a shared belief system, and the ability to plan and execute complex long-term projects that spanned generations. The stones are not just a monument of faith, they are a monument of social cohesion and sophisticated prehistoric engineering. For centuries, archaeologists and historians have grappled with this central question of Carnac why. One of the most prominent and enduring theories is that the site served a funerary purpose. The presence of numerous dolmens, or passage tombs, scattered among the alignments lends strong support to this idea. These tombs were clearly places of burial and ancestral veneration. It is possible that the long lines of stones were ceremonial avenues leading to these sacred burial grounds. Processions could have been held along these rows to honor the dead, connecting the world of the living with the realm of the ancestors. The alignments in this view formed a vast necropolis, a city of the dead. Another compelling theory revolves around astronomy. Many ancient cultures built monuments that aligned with celestial events, and Carnac may be no exception. Some researchers like Alexander Thom have proposed that the alignments form a massive astronomical observatory. They suggest that the lines were used to track the movements of the sun and moon, predicting important events like solstices and equinoxes. This would have been crucial for a farming community, helping them determine when to plant and when to harvest. The stone circles, or cromlechs, at either end of the alignments could have served as observation points, allowing prehistoric astronomers to make precise calculations. The entire complex might have been a giant calendar carved in stone. A third perspective suggests that Carnac was primarily a place of large-scale ceremony and social gathering. The sheer size of the site indicates that it was meant to accommodate huge numbers of people. The stone avenues may have been the setting for important religious festivals, rites of passage, or social events that brought different tribes and communities together. Building and maintaining the site would have been a powerful act of communal identity, reinforcing social bonds and shared beliefs. In this interpretation, the specific alignments might not have had a single meaning but served as a grand sacred stage for the key moments in the life of the community. It was a place to gather, to celebrate, and to affirm their place in the world. Of course, it is highly likely that the purpose of Carnac was not one single thing, but a combination of all these ideas and more. It could have been a place that integrated worship of the ancestors, observation of the cosmos, and the celebration of community life. Perhaps its function even changed over the many centuries it was in use. The funerary aspects might have been most important in one era, while the astronomical observations took precedence in another. The beauty of Carnac lies in this ambiguity. It refuses to be neatly categorized, forcing us to accept that the spiritual world of its builders was likely as complex and multi-layered as the monument they left behind. Long before archaeologists arrived with their measuring tapes and scientific theories, the people of Brittany had their own explanations for these mysterious stones. Local folklore is, well, just overflowing with tales that try to make sense of this incredible landscape. One of the most famous legends tells of a Roman legion that was marching through the area in pursuit of St. Cornelius, the patron saint of the region. As the soldiers closed in, the saint turned and, with a divine gesture, transformed the entire legion into stone. The long, orderly rows of menhirs are said to be the Roman soldiers, frozen in time for eternity, a powerful warning against persecuting the faithful. Another popular legend connects the stones to a magical, otherworldly realm. Some tales say that on certain nights, especially during the winter solstice, the stones actually come to life. They're said to leave their positions and march down to the nearby rivers or the sea to drink or bathe. Woe betide any human who happens to witness this event, as they might be crushed by the moving stones or, even worse, dragged away to a fairy kingdom. This folklore gives the stones a sense of agency and a slightly menacing power, treating them not as inanimate objects but as living entities with a secret life of their own, one that is best left undisturbed by mortals. The stones have also been associated with fertility and healing for centuries. Local tradition held that young couples hoping to have children should visit the stones on a full moon. It was believed that rubbing against certain menhirs could bestow fertility and ensure the birth of a healthy child. Similarly, some stones were thought to have healing properties, and people with various ailments would visit them, touching the granite in the hope of a cure. These practices show a deep and personal connection to the stones, viewing them as a source of benevolent power that could intervene directly in human lives, a belief that likely stretches back into the distant past. These myths and legends, while not scientific explanations, are incredibly valuable. They show us how people have lived with this mystery for generations, weaving it into their own cultural and spiritual fabric. The stories of stone soldiers, moving giants, and healing rocks are a way of giving meaning to something that, honestly, just defies easy explanation. They transform the archaeological puzzle into a living part of the cultural landscape, full of magic, danger, and wonder. These tales are a testament to the human imagination and our innate need to create narratives that connect us to the profound and enigmatic places we inhabit. The Carnac alignments, while unique in their scale and design, are part of a much wider phenomenon that swept across prehistoric Europe and beyond. This was the age of megaliths, a time when cultures all over the world were inspired to build with massive stones. The most famous relative of Carnac is, of course, Stonehenge in England. Built about 1,000 years after the main Carnac alignments were begun, Stonehenge shares a similar sense of mystery and likely astronomical purpose. However, its design is vastly different, focusing on a sophisticated circle of linteled stones rather than long parallel rows. Each site represents a unique local expression of a shared global impulse. Looking further afield, we can see parallels with the Great Pyramids of Giza in Egypt. While the pyramids were built much later, around 2500 BCE, they share with Carnac a sense of monumental ambition and a connection to the afterlife. Both cultures dedicated enormous resources and labor to constructing elaborate tombs and ceremonial complexes for their dead. The pyramids, with their precise geometry and astronomical alignments, and Carnac, with its sprawling stone avenues. Both stand as powerful statements about the relationship between humanity, divinity, and eternity. They are, different answers to the same fundamental questions about life, death, and the cosmos. This megalithic tradition was not confined to Europe and Egypt. We find similar structures all over the world. In the windswept Orkney Islands of Scotland, sites like the Ring of Brodgar and the Stones of Stennis predate Stonehenge and are contemporaries of Carnac. On the Mediterranean island of Malta, incredible temples like Hagar Kim were built from massive limestone blocks. Even as far away as Indonesia and Korea, we find ancient cultures erecting standing stones and building dormant tombs. This global pattern suggests that building with giant stones was a fundamental stage in the development of many human societies, a way of making a permanent mark on the world. Placing Carnac within this global family of stone monuments helps us appreciate its significance. It is not an isolated anomaly, but the earliest and largest expression of a powerful idea that resonated across the ancient world. The people of Carnac were pioneers, innovators at the very beginning of this megalithic age. Their vision of long stone rows, stretching across the land, was a unique contribution to this global tradition. Comparing Carnac to Stonehenge or the pyramids does not diminish its importance. Rather, it highlights the incredible creativity and diversity of our ancient ancestors as they all sought, in their own unique ways, to build something that would last forever. The mystery of Carnac is deeply intertwined with the landscape of Brittany itself. This is a region where the land meets the sea in a dramatic and beautiful way, a place of rugged coastlines, ancient forests, and a mystical atmosphere that has inspired legends for centuries. The Breton landscape is not just a backdrop for the stones, it is an active participant in their story. The alignments are situated on a low-lying plain near the coast, a place that would have been strategically and spiritually significant to a maritime people. The proximity to the sea, a source of food, trade, and powerful natural forces, surely influenced the beliefs and rituals that took place here. This is a land steeped in Celtic myth and folklore, a place where tales of King Arthur, the wizard Merlin, and the magical forest of Broceliande feel right at home. Although the stones predate the Celts by thousands of years, this later cultural layer has added to the region's enchanting feel. The Celtic imagination populated the woods, wells, and ancient stones with spirits, fairies, and otherworldly beings. This long tradition of seeing magic in the landscape makes it easy to imagine the Carnac Stones as more than just an archaeological site. They feel like a natural part of this enchanted world, a gateway to the other world of Celtic legend. The weather in Brittany also plays a crucial role in shaping the experience of Carnac. The light is constantly changing, shifting from bright clear sunshine to dramatic cloud-filled skies. A sudden sea mist can roll in, shrouding the stones in a thick ethereal fog, making them appear and disappear like ghosts. A storm can rage over the alignments, with rain lashing against the ancient granite, reminding you of the power of nature that these stones have endured for millennia. This dynamic, ever-changing atmosphere prevents the site from ever feeling static or sterile. It ensures that every visit is unique, offering a different mood and a different perspective on the enduring mystery. Ultimately, the landscape and the stones are one. The builders of Carnac chose this specific place for a reason. They saw something sacred in the sweep of the land, the curve of the coast, and the path of the sun across the sky. They did not impose their monument on the landscape. They worked with it, weaving their lines of stone into the natural contours of the earth. To understand Carnac, we must understand its environment. It is a work of landscape art on a colossal scale, a collaboration between human hands and the spirit of the land itself. This profound connection is what gives Carnac its unique and lasting power. The Carnac Stones offer us a profound and humbling lesson about our own history. They remind us that our written records, which only go back a few thousand years, cover just a tiny fraction of the human story. For tens of thousands of years before the invention of writing, people lived, loved, dreamed, and created extraordinary things. Carnac is a powerful symbol of this deep, silent past. It challenges our modern arrogance and forces us to acknowledge the immense achievements of prehistoric peoples. They were not primitive savages. They were intelligent, organized, and spiritually sophisticated human beings who shaped their world in ways we are only just beginning to understand. The stones also teach us the importance of respecting mystery. In our age of information, we are used to having answers at our fingertips. We can Google any question and expect an instant definitive reply, but Carnac refuses to give up its secrets so easily. It resists simple explanations and remains stubbornly enigmatic. This is not a failure of archaeology, it is a gift. The mystery of Carnac invites us to wonder, to imagine, and to be comfortable with not knowing. It reminds us that some of the most powerful and meaningful experiences in life are those that lie beyond the reach of easy explanation. The silence of the stones is a space for our own contemplation. Furthermore, Carnac speaks to a fundamental human need, the search for meaning and permanence. In a world of constant change, where life was often short and precarious, these Neolithic people felt a powerful urge to create something that would endure. They wanted to mark their place in the cosmos, to build a bridge between their fleeting lives and the eternal cycles of the sun, moon, and stars. The stones are an expression of this universal human desire to matter, to leave a legacy that transcends our own mortality. In their weathered granite faces, we can see a reflection of our own search for purpose in a vast and often bewildering universe. Finally, the lasting impact of Carnac is an open invitation to wonder. It encourages us to look at the world with fresh eyes, to see the magic hidden in the landscape, and to feel a sense of connection to the countless generations who came before us. It is more than just a tourist destination. It is a place of pilgrimage for anyone interested in the deep story of humanity. The stones stand today, as they have for over 6,000 years, as a silent, powerful testament to a lost world. They challenge us, inspire us, and remind us that the greatest stories are often the ones that are left for us to imagine.